Well, it's that time of year again. Winter is coming. Well, there's certain truths this year, just like there is every year with winter. The deers are in rut. I don't have my deer rifle going, and I still haven't mastered the dulcimer. That being said, uh, I don't take the dulcimer out on the road, but my deer rifle is put together. I think a Dragunov scope on the top of my Remington is probably a little too much, but it does work well. Well, that and the game warden has a lot of unnecessary questions when you show up with an FAL. But it's winter time, and so how do I get ready for winter? Well, apps. A lot of these apps are really useful. And weather apps, I've been going through some of them because a lot of them have become completely useless. A lot of ad-based things and things of that nature. But I found a couple that might actually work well. Now, first of all, this is not an advertisement for any of these apps. I'm not a paid spokesman. I'm not endorsed. I just go through some of these and I try them out because, truthfully, some of them are just junk. So, the first thing I tend to do is Google Earth. As dumb as it sounds, if you're looking for weather conditions and the way a storm is going, put the Google Earth on satellite and traffic, and you'll have a really good idea. It's kind of funny. Now, at the time of shooting this video, I was just kind of looking for something around, and you see all the traffic here. But take a look at Michigan here. This is a storm. You can kind of see it across here. And sometimes, you know, when you get in the big Midwest and all that, you'll see storms going across, and you can kind of follow them along. But this is kind of what I could find today, but that's that's a storm. Now, as goofy as it sounds, that right there in this electronic age can help you a lot deciding on which route you need to take. Some people are like, well, you know, that's 100 miles out of route. And I'm like, yeah, you know, it might be 100 miles out of route, but if you show up a day early because you weren't snowed in on some interstate or some truck stop somewhere, that's not bad. Going out west, you know, Donner used to close all the time, and if I knew it was snowing and all that, sometimes I literally would go 150, 200 miles out of route the long way because I knew guys were going to be stuck over there, you know, in Sparks for days. And who's got time for that? Yeah, I went out of route, but I got the load delivered on time. And, hey, you know, that's what it's all about. And I got reloaded. And usually by the time I was getting reloaded, the highway might actually be open again. But didn't lose too much time, and I still made money. But so let's go off to the next app. Now, one of the apps I tend to use quite a bit is the actual WeatherBug. The WeatherBug app is actually pretty good. It's got several different layers and all that. And you can actually, you know, get a pretty good idea. It's got a little bit of traffic and stuff on there, but, you know, with the radar and all that, it's not bad. It can show you a good path. So here we are in Grand Rapids, Michigan, pretty much where I showed you on Google Earth. You can play it and it'll show you how the storm's moving. And it's pretty much socked in the lower peninsula there. But if you look for Grand Rapids, which is right in the middle of it, we can do the now radar, tell you what it's doing. It's got a frozen mix, hourly. You can go over several days there. And what it's going to do in 10 days, you know, and go back, we got the map. So it's not too bad. I do use this pretty much, and it really doesn't have traffic, but it does give you a good idea, you know, pretty much what you're doing. So not too bad. Now, historically, a lot of these weather apps have been pretty crappy just because of buffering and things of that nature. But technology has kind of caught up quite a bit, and they've gotten a lot better. WeatherBug has really improved quite a bit. A lot of the ones I used to use with stuff like Radar Now and things of that nature. I do tend to like Radar because it gives me a better overall picture of what's going on. Now, if you're in just one general area, that's pretty good. I go across the country quite a bit. And I've used, like I said, I've used several different radars. I used the AccuWeather, which is the same one that the Weather Channel uses. But then I also discovered a new radar called Highway Radar. And as a truck driver, I found this one really fascinating. Now this is one, like if we're going up here to Sioux Falls. But you can see the storm going over Grand Rapids up here too, which is pretty cool. Now, it's got a much better it's much more seamless. I really like this. But watch this. From where I'm at to Sioux Falls, not only does it give me the hours and the time, it also see forecast. So hit that. Traveling at 60 miles an hour, it'll tell me, or I can adjust the speed. And let me take that off. And from when I start, like tonight, it will literally tell me every hour along the trip what the temperature is going to be. And if I want to see what it's going to be like tomorrow, I can actually move it down. Like I'm going to leave at 7. And here we go. I find this pretty neat. It's not bad at all. I actually do like this. So, yeah, I found this one quite handy too. For what we do, we need something, especially if you go out west, that gives you a good idea what you're going into, but you also need to know, like on I-80, wind speeds. Every year for the past 20 years, there's been a pileup out there. Actually, we didn't get pileups like out there till about 10 years ago, and then everybody lost their mind. Nobody has CBs anymore. Nobody talks anymore. Nobody listens to the Weather Channel anymore. Nobody monitors wind speeds. Well, this is what happens. And one of the best things that comes built into your truck is your weather radio. And the apps are great, but the weather radio will give you real time. And this is where a little geography comes in. If you know where a lot of these towns are and where a lot of these things are, you can really monitor which way the weather's working. So if you can monitor which way the weather's working, you can overlay that in your mind with an app and check your work. And that really tends to work out. I have avoided so much trouble that way. And when you are on the listening to the weather on the radio, it'll give you mile markers for the wind. So wind gusts and all that, and wind speeds along certain mile markers, and you can really plan your trip accordingly that way too. It's a great help, and they're great tools to use. Now here's the deal. There are a lot of apps out there, and I'm not shilling out for any of these. I'm not getting paid for this. This is not a promotion for these apps. But all I'm saying is find an app that works for you. You need something that will give you real time. And in today's smartphone world, that's a good thing. When these smartphones first started coming out, there was lag. There wasn't any real-time stuff. And all of this stuff was a real pain. I mean, you'd have to Google a website and Google individual weather for, well, back then it was on Yahoo. But you'd have to go into the internet, Google each individual city along your way and figure out what the temperature was. But chances are you had a thermometer on your truck, you had a weather radio, and you had a CB. And I wish people still use CBs for things like this. I remember a guy talking about these old FedEx day cabs going through Rock Springs at 80 to nothing, and he watched one pile up into another, and then 5 minutes later another one piled up into it, and 5 minutes later another one piled up into it, because these day cabs weren't running radios, and these guys are on the radio screaming at everybody, telling mile markers to slow down. Sleeper trucks, they didn't wreck. The day cabs did, though. The day cabs piled up like crazy. And I got a video of it somewhere. I was in a pile up outside of Council Bluffs a few years back. I really wish I had pictures of it. I think it's on an old SD card somewhere that I probably can't access. But what ended up happening was, I was going down the road. It was me and another tanker driver, and we're just cruising down the road, really watching ourselves. And I-80's getting slippery. We get it about 10 miles out of Council Bluffs, and it's getting real bad. We're slowed down. Well, the tanker, he's in front of me, and all of a sudden we see this car hauler out of Chicago, and he comes hauling by, and he's got his foot up on the dash, and he's just got his hand on the phone, and he's just cruising. And 30 seconds later at exit 6, he spins out. Tanker gets stopped. I get stopped. 10 guys behind me get stopped. I look in my rear view mirror. Day cab goes off this way. Day cab goes off this way. 2 day cabs go off that way. So we've got an accident in front of us and a pile up behind us. And the cause of the pile up was people not having radios. Because I got stopped because the guy in front of me started yelling, and about 10 of us all got stopped. And so they got the guy in front of us moved. We managed to make it out of there. Got about 10 or 15 of us gone, and they had to go clean up another wreck behind it. CB radio might save you. Anyways, winter's coming, and make sure you guys got your good warm weather gear out there. Good pair of insulated coveralls, heavy socks, some boots, good gloves. You're going to need good gloves. A stocking cap, and, a muffler to cover your face if a wrap. Excuse me. Wind chill's very real out here. And you're going to need water and some food, and couple 3 years in a row we've been seeing truck drivers stuck on an interstate for 2 or 3 days at a time, so at least have some water in there. Now, like I said, this is what I use. There's a whole host of things out there, and I encourage you guys to try a bunch of different things of that nature. If you find an app you like, stick with it, but make sure it does what you want. And that's why I always suggest go through the Play Store and find an app that works for you. And truthfully, the reason I use the Google Earth and the Radar app is so I can have an idea what traffic's doing due to the weather. And like I said, that saved me quite a bit. Now, the other app that doesn't give you traffic conditions, but it does give you temperatures, so you can monitor whether it's freezing or not, whether it's raining or not, whether it's snowing or not. Because when it's raining at 28 degrees, the minute that hits the ground, it's ice. And that might give you time to find a good place to stop, because the closer you get to that mess, the harder it is to find a place to park. Stuff like this helps you plan your day out. I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. We're not out here for our health. We're out here to support ourselves. We're out here to support our families. Long and short, we're out here for the money. And getting stuck in the weather, you ain't making no money. Getting yourself piled up in the ditch and getting hurt, you definitely ain't making no money. So, take care of yourself, guys. Make sure you're in good positions, and just make sure you have a good idea what the weather's doing. Weather apps, Google Earth, things of this nature, things like I've showed you. I've only showed you a couple of them. Things like this are valuable. So guys, just be safe out here this winter, and watch what you're doing. Be careful, and don't be afraid to shut down. It's better you shut down for an evening and just have a night off, rather than get piled up in a ditch and wreck your truck and have the next week and a half off. Like I said, we're out here to support ourselves, support our family, and make money. So guys, be safe out here. Protect yourself this winter, and make sure you got everything in the truck you need. So I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Be safe. See you next video.